What's going on? Hello. Song of the day is Little Happy Song by Kevin Oliver Jr. from Album of the Week. Remember, we're doing that new thing named Oliver. The album of the week is Oliver. And song of the day is Little Happy Song by Kevin Oliver Jr. Listen, I need y'all to do me a huge favor, okay? And listen to some jazz. Listen to some jazz. That's what Kevin Oliver Jr. is offering you here. Okay, jazz, the genre that was highly appreciated and celebrated in the United States, originated in the United States by African American Black people, and through, quite frankly, probably a lot of nefarious effort, I think, quote unquote, now has become something barely appreciated, barely celebrated here, and has been co-opted by everyone but Black people damn near. So happy Black History Month. Happy February. Thank you for choosing the Cotton Candy Clouds podcast, the podcast that loves a 13th Friday. Yes, I do. Yes, we do. Thank you for hanging out with me, Fee, on a podcast that's just me yapping and yammering about a smorgasbord of topics with a myriad of theories and perspectives in addition to my interpretations and opinions, of course. Too much of nothing and a little bit of everything, justifying randomness. This is what the Cotton Candy Clouds podcast is about. Welcome. Okay. Speaking of Friday the 13th lore, or Friday the 13th rather, let's talk about some of the lore. I know I said now, again, I'm constantly always trying to get the podcast to its smoothest, most sexiest, satisfactory level. But with that, one of my efforts was to ensure that I'm basically making a forever episode, episodes where people can come back and say, wow, this can apply or fly or whatever at any time. But listen, dates, time, no matter the construct at hand is important to mention. And plus, I just love the 13th of a Friday. So we're going to talk about it. And so, some of the lore involves the Last Supper being the 13 people, including Jesus. And of course, they had the little dinner. Next thing you know, next day he being crucified. So that was bad luck. And then you have the Knights Templar situation where on a Friday the 13th, officers of King Philip of France, and I don't know which one that was, which Philip, they gathered them all and arrested them and all this kind of stuff. Okay, then you have one, which this is funny, where in France also, I guess it's getting a little French up in here, they have the misfortune associated with a character in a play, which, plays and writing fiction back then, 19th century, was very important and did spread throughout culture and society and would create these things that were really non-important, non-mattering, right? But anyway, we have a character who states that I was born on Friday, December 13th, 1813, from which all my misfortunes come. But this is my thing. The man was just a Sagittarius. You know what I'm saying? Like, that might have been his bad luck. Anyway, so what I'm trying to tell you is there are different origins of quote unquote Friday the 13th being bad luck. I, for one, honestly think it all has to do with being a woman. Listen, you have 13 moon cycles. You have 28-day cycle of the moon. 28-day, cycle of the moon, 13 moon cycles. It should be 13 months. It's a lot going on with this whole situation. And it probably was just a woman on a Friday. She was parlaying and it was the 13th and then she got hungry. Who knows? What I'm trying to tell you is I, for one, Fee, think that Friday the 13th is a wonderful day. I always feel, now they say it's wonderful because people are more careful and considerate on Friday the 13th because of their paranoia that something bad will happen. But in the end, to me, it's good luck. It's blessings overflowing. And it's a Friday, for God's sake. It's a Venus day. My goodness. So I think Friday the 13th is great. Anyway, speaking of creepy things, I felt recently, okay, like I was in a psyop. Like I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone, the Outer Limits, a tale from the dark side. When last week, I think it was last week, early last week, I was on Facebook, my God, or Fakebook as my mom likes to call it. And I witnessed this influx of AI cartoon depictions of my Facebook friends. And I was like, what's going on? Because I said, do people not know things? Do they not know that AI uses 5 million gallons of water a day? Do they not know that AI poisons poor, predominantly disenfranchised people of color, black people, neighborhoods? What's going on? Listen, before AI really hit the streets, they had the generator. They called it a generator something. And that's where I even got the images from. This was like, I want to say 2022 or maybe the beginning of 2023. I got the images for the Cotton Candy Clouds podcast. Okay. So maybe you're saying, wow, the kettle calling the cat black or whatever the phrase is, right? But listen now, now that it has developed, this is 2026 is they are clearing out neighborhoods, poisoning areas. This shit's serious now. That scared me. I mean, anyway, I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I saw a snippet of the commercial for Ring cameras now using AI to quote unquote help people find their dogs. But of course, there's more to it, of course, because we live, regardless if it sounds conspiratorial or not, we do live in a surveillance state, have for probably a good, 60 years. And a company asking for you to give them permission to aid really the stormtroopers and other nefarious groups to disenfranchise people even more is sad. And it's like, people always say, well, we've always been surveilled, but it's like now you can tell these companies are getting ready to ask you, so that now they're not plausible to the damage that is about to occur. And we, the people, will never know the day or hour they change the people who they choose to surveil. And my thing is, y'all surveilling, first of all, I didn't even know, shout out to dog owners, but I didn't know people were losing their dogs so much so, quote unquote, that they needed aid and AI to help them find them. Because not only was that commercial a thing, but I've also noticed an uptick of commercials about the chips that go in the dogs to, help you find them and they're registered and etc. And it's just like, why am I seeing it over and over again? Because I don't have a dog. So why is it coming on? It's obviously being advertised to everyone. Anyway, so please, if you have those technologies, just be careful with the permissions that you allow. And I know you probably have it for safety, and I 100% understand, but just stay vigilant and be aware of how these companies exploit your need, want, and quite frankly, sometimes paranoia for safety. Because you can't, I think as a people, we can't underestimate the exploitation of general concerns within that human basis of existence. Anyway, speaking of surveillance, we do need to shout out my girl and my dude. I need to stop. Marie Van Britton, okay, a nurse, and husband Albert L. Brown, an electronics technician, inventing an audiovisual home security system. Yes, that's correct. You heard it. Happy Black History Month. A black woman and black man invented, patented in 1966, and it was granted in 1969, what you know today as the damn Ring system, as the home security system utilizing television surveillance. That was the original name. Yes. And hold on, because it was another tidbit. Let me go. Because at the time, I thought this was fascinating. Because this is 1966, and it's like, wow. When you think about the amount, it's 2026. Okay, so do the math. 1966, 2026. This, in their patent, it described a wire system with audio, video, and lock control. The novel feature being, in case, the ability to pass all the signals on a single wire. They also had the patent within this that allowed for the signal, like whatever was being watched, to be sent to basically a security center or basically a police department, etc., like that. I mean, can you believe that? Like, so basically, now you have Ring, but back in the day you had like Protection One. I don't know, the home security systems that was in their patent. Congratulations. Happy Black History Month. Okay. So book of the week is, and remember we were doing the week thing, is Black Fatigue, How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit. And let's take a gander at this synopsis. Black people, young and old, are fatigued, says award-winning diversity and inclusion leader Mary Frances Winters. She is the author of this book. It is physically, mentally, and emotionally draining to continue to experience inequities and even atrocities day after day. When justice is a God-given and legislated right, amen, and it is exhausting to have to constantly explain this to white people, even and especially well-meaning white people. Now that's a quote unquote for me, who fall prey to white fragility and too often are unwittingly complicit in upholding the very systems they say they want to dismantle. This book, designed to illuminate the myriad, we love that word, dire consequences of living while Black, came at the urging of Winters' Black friends and colleagues. Winters describes how in every aspect of life, from economics to education, work, criminal justice, and very importantly, health outcomes, for the most part, the trajectory for Black people is not improving. It is paradoxical that with all the attention focused over the last 50 years on social justice and diversity and inclusion, little progress has been made in actualizing the vision of an equitable society. Black people are quite literally sick and tired of being sick and tired. Shout out to Fannie Lou Hammer. Winters writes that my hope for this book is that it will provide a comprehensive summary of the consequences of Black fatigue and an awakened activism in those who care about equity and justice, those who care that intergenerational fatigue is tearing at the very core of a whole race of people who are simply asking for what they deserve. It's juicy. It's good. I've read excerpts. She got down. She knows what she's talking about. Black Fatigue, How Racism Erodes the Mind, Body, and Spirit by Mary Frances Winters. That is book of the week. I encourage you to read it. Thank you. All right. So now for the woo-woo metaphysical portion of the podcast. Here is the metaphysical commercial break. Crystal of the month is Amethyst. It is an amulet. It soothes the mind and emotions, and it encourages self-control. I don't know if you were listening to last week's episode, but I gotta say, I really love the newfound information about Amethyst, and it makes me feel great. And now I get the value because, unfortunately, I know Amethyst is a very pop cultured, popular crystal. I was not hip. I wasn't I wasn't utilizing it the right way, if you will. Anyway, Incense of the season. Again, it is winter. No matter how much those 50 degrees and 60 degrees get you all warm and fuzzy inside, it is winter. Incense of the season is pine, a cleansing incense used as protection through the winter season. It soothes and relaxes the respiratory system while stimulating physical activity. It strengthens and heightens spiritual awareness, and we can use that. All right. Ding, ding, ding. Bada boom, bada bing. That was the metaphysical commercial break. Okay, so let's get into what I like to call, well, technically it is exposure therapy. So I'm sure I want to encourage y'all to go on YouTube one time at a time, at some point. Go to dash cam lessons, okay? And you're going to be like, wow, why would she have us click on this vid or one of these vids? But just click on it. I tell you what, you really learn something. Now, this is, some people may feel like, wow, it's psychotic, it's bizarre and bewildering that a person would watch car crashes, essentially, as a form of quote unquote entertainment. Now, for me, it's not, I can't say it's entertainment, but I'm getting something out of it. And what I'm trying to tell you is, this is my form, or one form of exposure therapy for me. This is the, exposure therapy is the type of therapy where, just a quick example, if you're afraid of spiders, your therapist comes and brings a spider and sits it on the desk. And at first, it's probably going to be in like a cage. But then over the next 2 months, the therapist might take the spider out. Okay. This is exposure therapy. This is facing the fears, the trauma, the what have you, of the thing that you hate, dislike, and are traumatized by the most. I have been in car accidents. I have, experienced that. I've had PTSD from it. But I just so happened to long years ago, be over one of my friends' house. They were watching this and I was like, what? And then, I don't know, it just, even with hearing the crunches, if you've ever been in a car accident, like the sounds and the things in the vid, I was like, it's kind of healing something in me. Because I'm telling you, it was a point where I really even couldn't get behind the wheel. Like, I was driving 3 miles an hour. Like, it was getting to me. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is it really exposes like how impatient we are as a people, how much we're not paying attention as a people, and the misdirection of blaming others for our problems. I know it's like, how did you get all that from dash cam lessons? But I did. And I just encourage y'all to do the same. Okay. All right. So speaking of exposure therapy, I got something real juicy and nice for you to watch for St. Valentine's Day. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily a good couples watch, but listen, this might bring y'all together. We don't know. All I'm saying is, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to go to Tubi. After you put down the YouTubes, go to Tubi. Listen, the Cotton Candy Clouds podcast loves Tubi. Okay, you know this. Right? So you need to go to Tubi and you need to go type in the word fake. It is a mini series, essentially, show. It's called Fake. It is on Tubi, and it is based on a real journalist, Stephanie Wood's article, Fake, a Startling True Story. So yes, this is loosely based on a true story. And I really shouldn't say loosely because it's wholeheartedly based on it. But this is it's an Australian show. So if accents get to you, that's tough. But this is a great watch. This show truly was I love a show or movie where I feel like I'm immersed. The pacing of the show is very slow. So, again, if you got something going on where you just can't sit down and you're going to be all ins and outs, don't watch it. But I'm asking you to take a moment. And the pacing is slow, but with this slow pacing, you're immersed in this woman's back and forth internally with trying to date this man, trying to love this man. And it's just so powerful because it shows, again, exposure therapy, I swear, shows how, number one, and this is a girly power kind of situation, sometimes, many times, we as women are, because I'm a black woman Southern, I don't know if y'all knew that, but we as women are ignoring our intuition, our natural given intuition. And we're knowing in such a short period of time when we need to leave a person, place, or thing. And we bypass that in our hopes that we found something that we can enjoy. We convince ourselves that the little portions that are good will outweigh the inklings that we're having that it's not going to be good. And it's just such a, again, because of the pace, it really just shows you how, first of all, insane you look and how willing you are to risk your damn life for quote unquote love and acceptance. And it's like, wow, like the main character really is every woman and every woman is her. To me, at least I thought. But I want you to be the judge because I don't want to get too much into it. But wow, it was just so good. And and the point of views, because you get her point of view and then you get his, the love interest, quote unquote, again, you get his, and it's just so good to me. Again, it's a miniseries, one season, and I think it's only 8 episodes. When you get to the Europes and the Australias of it all, they do short, sweet. They ain't gonna be here for too long. So it's only 8 episodes. It's a good watch. This is how you can spend your Galentine's. Maybe this is more of a Galentine situation, but I say do it for the saint. You know what I'm saying? Saint Valentine's Day. Either way, utilize this weekend to watch this show. Is so good. Everybody got Tubi. You don't need an email address, I don't even think, to be on there. Get into it. We love Tubi here at the Cotton Candy Clouds podcast. Now, quote of the day for the Cotton Candy Clouds podcast is: our community without romance risks being brutish and crass and superficial and brittle and cruel and even murderous without romance. That quote is by Maya Angelou. I did want to end it on something sweet. Thank you so much for listening to the Cotton Candy Clouds podcast. Again, you can find anything that was discussed in this podcast or any podcast on Twitter, on Facebook, on Blue Sky. Okay? When your head is in the clouds, there's always something sweet to think about.